Okay, so here we go with the great hoax. How all this was supposed to have happened. Apparently, the story was that Paul McCartney had died in a car accident, and the Beatles, not wanting to relinquish their fame, decided to replace Paul with a look-alike. So I know as crazy as that sounds, that was supposedly the story, but the Beatles couldn't resist putting clues in their albums that this Paul McCartney is not the true Paul McCartney. So someone noticed that the picture on Abbey Road supposedly represented a funeral procession with John the priest, Ringo the undertaker, Paul the corpse, and George the gravedigger, because George is wearing jeans, Paul's in an old suit. Corpses don't, you don't put shoes on a corpse. His feet are bare. Paul happens to be holding a cigarette in his right hand, and as everyone knows, Paul was left-handed. Um, this was supposedly a clue. This Volkswagen here has a license plate. I don't know if you can see that. It says 28 IF. And that's supposed to mean Paul McCartney would have been 28 if he had lived. Above the 28, it says LMW. Someone said that meant Linda McCartney weeps. So this stuff is crazy. I know. It doesn't make any sense. Then, of course, when you flip the album over, the fact that this crack in the wall runs down was supposed to be evidence of the fact that the Beatles are no longer perfect anymore. Someone even said these little dots here on the brick or on the cement, whatever that is, if you connected these, it would be the letter, it would be the number three, the number three. So that means that there are now three Beatles. What else? Someone even, and this is where it gets really kind of creepy, someone even said this is like the dead profile of Paul McCartney or something. Then the girl's arm, this little thing is his mouth or something. I said somebody's been smoking something. This little thing too was supposed to be a ghost, like the ghost of Paul McCartney. Looks like the sun reflected in the leaves. So all kind of little stuff. So right away I'm listening to this on the radio and I'm like, okay, people are tripping. Let it be. They said Paul is the only one with a red background. That's supposed to be evidence of something. Then you get to Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. And so you had different clues here. This is supposedly the Beatles in front of a grave, and that's Paul's left-handed bass right there. There's a little car the little girl has. That's supposedly the car, represents the car that Paul had killed himself in. All the other Beatles have instruments that are brass. He's the only one with the black instrument. There's some other clues in here about the people in the background. Then when you open it up, they tried to claim that, I don't know if this was supposed to be the dead Paul or the look-alike Paul or a wax figure Paul or something, but they said it looks like John and George are propping up Paul because he's the only one with his knees in the shot. This OPD was supposed to be stand for officially pronounced dead, but Paul always claimed it was a patch that a fan sent him. It was from the Ontario Police Department. Let's see. Of course, on the back, Paul is the only one who's not facing the camera, so that's evidence of something. This is kind of weird. If you look here, you'll see that George Harrison's finger is pointing at Wednesday morning at 5 o'clock. The lyrics that she's leaving home, that's supposedly Wednesday morning at 5 o'clock was when Paul met his demise. There's probably some other stuff in there, but you get the idea. Then when you get to Magical Mystery Tour. Now, Magical Mystery Tour was a little bit different for us. I didn't see the TV show was based on till years later. So when it came out with this booklet. Now mine is coming apart. And again, I purchased this back in the 80s, so it's you know, that makes it decades old, so it's still hanging in there. But there were clues in the film and in the pictures. So for one, you'll notice this picture, Paul is in front of a sign that says "I was," so that was evidence that that's not the real Paul. It actually says "you was," but I guess when you're coming up with conspiracy stuff, you don't have to be but so literal. And then let's see, let's take a look. I'm trying to be careful with this so I don't tear it up anymore. Oh, here we go. You see this picture? Fool on the Hill, the little cartoon of Paul. Apparently, because the word heel, the little L is coming down and splitting his head. That was supposedly evidence that he had bumped his head in the car crash. Oh, this is cool. This was a nice little picture. This one's from when they performed I Am the Walrus. Now in this picture, if you'll notice, the drum kit says "Love the Beatles," but someone says "Love the," that's supposedly the 3 Beatles. See, that's a little 3 right there. I don't know if you can, oops, let's see that, the 3 Beatles. And again, Paul has his shoes off, so he doesn't like wearing his shoes. His shoes are sitting here, but it looks like there's some red splotches on them. I guess that's supposed to be blood or something on the shoes to represent something. Uh-oh, my book is tearing up. Gotta be careful. And I think the other thing here, this is from Your Mother Should Know. They're all wearing red flowers except for Paul. He's the one wearing the black flower. And of course in the film, he was the beetle that was handed flowers, so that's supposed to be a sign of death or something like that. So far I'm like, okay, this is fun. This is somebody been smoking something or whatever, so whatever. Then you get to the White Album. This is where it starts getting a little creepy, because this one didn't have a lot of stuff. The Beatles, or what we call the White Album, came with these inserts in it. So each of the, let me show you. It came with this poster, and it came with these portraits of the 4 Beatles. So, you know, you had John, and you had Paul, you have George, and you have Ringo. So there's Ringo. And someone was saying, we know if you look at Paul's portrait, his upper lip looks different. That's got to be sign of plastic surgery or something. There's an extra little fold there. That's not the real Paul McCartney. So, you know, you say, okay. So far, again, I'm listening to this radio program, and I'm like, okay, this is kind of fun. But this is the picture where it started to get real creepy. I had seen this collage poster that they put in the album. It had the lyrics on one side. So on this back side, you know, you had the lyrics to all the different songs here. And then on the front, there were these pictures. So there were a bunch of pictures, collage and everything. So kind of cute, different things or whatever. And someone said there's this little picture. Let me see if I can show it to you. There's this little picture right here of Paul, and he's in thought here, but it looks like he's dancing or clapping or something. But I don't know what this is. It looks like smoke or something, or the film got torn or whatever. I don't know. But they claimed that those were the hands of the Grim Reaper reaching out to grab Paul because he had died. So now I'm listening to this stuff on the radio, and I'm like, okay, this is some creepy stuff. Then they started playing the music backwards and stuff. So I'm not going to put the sound on here. You can find it elsewhere on the internet. But of course, this one, Revolution 9, this song here, this is kind of the granddaddy of all the conspiracy songs, because when you listen to it, there's a voice that goes number 9, number 9, number, and you hear that over and over again. And I don't know who was the bright person that decided to play this thing backwards, but they said if you play it backwards, it sounds like Turn Me On, Dead Man. But it doesn't sound like Turn Me On, Dead Man, like I'm saying Turn Me On, Dead Man. It's real creep. It's kind of like in The Exorcist when the guy was taping her and then playing the tape back and all these weird sounds. It's like, turn me on. I'm listening to this and it's like really freaking me out, this kind of thing. And then they started playing Strawberry Fields and saying Paul is saying I buried Paul. And they were playing I'm so tired. And they say as it goes out, John is mumbling something. They say if you listen carefully, it's Paul's a dead man, miss him, miss him, miss him. So I said, this is reminding me of like in the 20s before TV and 30s when people had radio and they'd be listening to Lights Out or something and getting freaked out, because this was exactly what this was doing. So anyway, I was telling that story, and I think that's all of the main clues, and you can kind of go elsewhere on the internet and look up some of this stuff, but it was really kind of freaky. But I was telling someone, of all the Beatles, Paul is the only one that I've actually seen perform live, and since this is a collectible show, this is my collectible teddy bear that I bought at the concert. I saw him in 2002 when he came to DC for the Driving USA tour, and I purchased the Driving USA collector's booklet of the show, which talks about the folks and everything, and so kind of fun. Driving USA, that's where I saw him. I either saw him on the 23rd or 24th at the MCI Center in Washington, D.C. So anyway, we're so glad Brother McCartney is still around and he's doing his thing. Keep doing what you do, Brother McCartney. We love your music. As a matter of fact, he's one of the few artists, when he comes out with an album, I usually will purchase it anyway before I know anything about it, because I'm just going to expect that there's going to be something good on it that I'll like. Stevie Wonder is probably the other person that I do that, but I just expect that he'll have like really good stuff on there. So McCartney's given us some great memories, some great music. I really enjoyed seeing him back in 2002. Hope you've enjoyed this episode of Collectibles and Comments. Life is all about creating those great memories, and I hope you get out there and create some of your own, and along the way pick you up a little collectible to remind you of all the wonderful things life has to offer. Thank you so much and for watching, and hope you're having a wonderful time wherever you are. This is Mel. Have a great day. Bye-bye.